I think it's important to be friends with people from all walks of life who are very different from you. I guess we'll just wait and see.
Yeah, time will tell.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit what you and I'll talk about when we meet up.
We could talk for hours.
Yeah, so we do. We talk about it's kind
talk
of
about
vague.
everything.
We talk about a lot of stuff. One thing I enjoy talking to you about though is kind of the roles of men and women.
Yes.
I like talking about that, especially with you because you really are like an independent woman, but you're also not one of these. I'll say it. One of these like new age feminists. That's one of these like, oh, men are trash. We can do without men. It's like I know you want a husband.
I do. Like
and like you like the role of man. So let's just talk about men and
I am
women.
a straight woman.
Yeah. To all the listeners.
My sister laughed. I don't know why she thought it was funny that you said I was straight. I mean,
Yeah.
I consider myself a Democrat, feminist. Like I would label myself that, but like, I'm all for BLM, being allies, but I guess unfortunately I'm a straight woman.
Yeah.
So I guess I want a man.
True.
But when I say those things, that's not like I think men are trash. Like I don't think you're trash.
Well, thank you.
Like I'm again big on my relationships, like my friendships. And I think it's important to be friends with people from all walks of life who are very different from you. Like, I mean, that's something I love about our friendship. We're able to respect each other and talk about all sorts of things. Like, you actually opened me up to this book about men called Wild at Heart. And it was, and that's my thing is like, I don't consider myself so stuck in a certain mindset. Like, I think there's something I could always learn. I have my own experiences, and that's kind of where I've molded my own. So I'm trying to figure out the best word. I guess I'm just open to other people. Even if I strongly disagree with them, I'm like, they have had their own experiences, their own educations to like mold them into that, like if you have never left your hometown or if you just have only had a certain thing that you're used to, you're not going to know.
Yeah.
I think I just went on a tangent.
Good for you. It's your episode.
It's my episode.
Yeah.
What was it that you originally asked me and I just ran off
Well,
with
I don't
it?
ask like a specific question, so I don't blame you. But it's just more so about like the role of men and women.
Okay.
And I think too, one thing that I guess one reason I'm bringing it up is what we're seeing now in the world, at least in our society, is just kind of this battle of the two like being equal,
Yeah.
but them having their different roles. Okay, stuff like, for instance, the Super Bowl was the other night, and one big thing about it was they had the first female official officiate a Super Bowl, and so one of the referees was a woman, and so the thing that if she can do the job as well as a man, then people are like, well, then between her and a man, and she's better for it, then let her do it. But then there's the people that would think, well, it's always been men. It's like it's like a man's thing. So it's almost like where do you draw the line of letting the men have it, but then also being accepting? So as a society, we're just trying to figure out how the two can coexist.
Yeah.
But not like, I don't know. I think we don't want them to step on each other's toes,
Right.
But you also don't want to discriminate towards the other. And
Right.
I don't know, and it's always easy to. It's as a man, you see it from like I see it through the lens of a man, and I mean a lot of it's just like it's just easy to, which a lot of times a man is at fault. I'll say it. Like men are just like they're weak. Like overall, like we're weak, we're passive, and so the odds are that you did something that you shouldn't have done, or you should have done something better, or stepped up sooner, whatever it is. So there are a lot of times the man is to blame, but then other times a man isn't to blame, and we're making it about a man.
Right.
So now it's like, why has it got to be a competition between the two?
Yeah, but
that's kind of where I'm at.
But I feel like that's such a good first step is like just admitting or just identifying just like recognizing that it is there, because I think there is, and this is just my personal opinion.
That's okay.
But I feel like there's a lot of men out there who truly do not think that inequality is a thing.
Inequality between men and women?
Yeah, just inequality in general. Like with women, like I just think women should be paid the same. If you are doing the same job, you have the same background, you should be paid the same. Like I don't understand why there really is like
like a discussion about it.
I'm like, why? Like you're justifying it, and like and you know, me as a woman, like I eventually do, like I am focused on my career, but I do eventually want to have children. And I think one of those challenges that I know that I'm going to have to eventually face, or that I've like learned from books or like other women in the workforce's experiences, is women tend to be emotional. Like they can't be this analytical or like decision maker. They're bossy. You know, there's always that, like, if a man did it, he'd be like a great leader. But if a woman did it, it's like she's bossy, or like she's the B word, the other B word, you know, that rhymes with itch.
Which.
Itch. So, or like women who get pregnant, like they're like, oh, we're not going to hire her because like she's pregnant. Like women who are pregnant and go in for job interviews, they more than likely are not going to get a call back because she's going to go on maternity leave, which to an extent I can understand. You need someone to be there to do the job. But like women who've been at their companies for a long time and just like they get pregnant, then it's like that's an issue now. Or it's like, oh, she's so hormonal, or like, you know, which like it's okay, like fine, yes, women can be hormonal, but like why are we judging her based on that, on like her position, even though like she is educated the same, she's as experienced and seasoned of like this role, like she's still almost going to be questioned. And like that's just something that bothers me. It's like there to me personally, it feels like there's gonna be some kind of doubt in my ability to like lead or to like make decisions on certain things. But I'm like, I'm learning, or it's like I'm specifically learning towards this one thing. Like I can become an expert on this, you know, or like, but something that I will this is going to sound so bad, but something I'm so quick to throw out of like, you know what, inequality, women, women can't do that. I've told people this, I know how to change a tire. The thing is, I don't want to. I do not want to change my own tire. I've tried and it sucks. Like I'm not that strong.
Oh yeah. That's what
you know, so it's like if a guy wants to come in and be like, oh, you're just a girl, you can't do that. I'm like, no, I can't. I can't change my tire. Please change it. I will throw feminism out the window so quick
for a tire change.
And just something related to that. It's like, do you know anything about cars? That's my biggest trigger.
Is a car.
It's like, you know, before I got this new car, actually the whole reason I got this new car
was
because of my previous car had so many problems, and just I've cried to the guys at like the Gateway Tires and Firestones, like just out of just feeling overwhelmed. And so quick I was like, y'all are the men, you do what you want. Man,
they probably have your picture up in all their lobbies.
It's like the crier.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, she's back.
It's like she's gonna ask a lot of annoying questions. Be prepared for a difficult woman to deal with.
Man, well, I mean, good for you for asking and acknowledging like where you're at and being honest with yourself.
Oh yeah, that's something I do not know. But like I've had this one experience. I used to work at the university, and I mean, it wasn't even like a staff member. It was actually a male student. And like I was working at the university doing like Vista work, and I remember
let's hear it.
I'm a little scared that they might like recognize me because it's a selective group. Yeah. But you know what? If they see it, they see it. Whatever. But
they can come fight me.
It was one of those. I'm trying to choose my words carefully on this one.
Go for it.
Is an experience of it was an experience of like toxic masculinity. where I went on this alternative spring break, and I led this group because I was the staff, which was weird because I just was out of college like 3 months ago. And the male student leader, you could tell we just had very different leadership styles. Like he was definitely alpha, and I consider myself somewhat of an alpha woman, but also like I'm big on learning and doing hands-on stuff and like empowering people to give them the confidence to do stuff. But what we did was like we spent a week on the Mississippi River just like cleaning up, pulling stuff out, and he was a nice guy, and I mean he eventually apologized for the thing he did to me. It wasn't that bad, but like I just remember all of us had like these little hand saws, and we had to like, I'm blanking on the name, but like trim down these like weeds or like little tree things like on the bay or on the riverbank or whatever. And I remember he took my saw and he goes, I'm going to take this because you're just not strong enough to do it quick enough. And I was like, he physically took it out of my hands, and I have never in my life felt more like I will fight a man with my bare hands. Do not take a saw. It's the audacity. And you could just tell I was so bothered, and he basically alluded to it because I was a woman. I couldn't do it fast enough, or I wasn't strong enough. And I was like, well, that's just so like, whatever. Maybe he didn't mean it necessarily as like me being a woman, but
that's the way you perceived it.
I did, because I was like, first off, that's just rude. Do not take things out of people's hands.
Rude, yeah.
But later that evening, maybe he hadn't apologized yet, but like there was other times where I'm like, he would just be the one like trying to show out, pulling all the things, because he's a good guy. He wanted to be helpful.
He was gay?
No, he was a good guy.
Oh, they said a gay.
No, he was so far from it. But he's a good guy, and fairly nice. It was just like that little thing that just stuck with me. I was like, that was so rude.
Well, that one thing will rub you the wrong way.
Oh, the wrong way. And he would just like be like trying to pull, like assert his dominance of like, oh, I'll get it. I'm like, you are the student leader. You need to allow these other students to participate and like try, because they were just so uninterested, because we were all in a little boat and trying, like, it's hard for like you basically have to take turns, or like 2 people at a time pull stuff in. And he's like, okay, but he later apologized that week and was like, I'm sorry. He's like, I was just raised that if a woman was struggling to do something, I do it. And I was like, the thing was, I was not struggling. Second, it was not your place, as there was several people, and it's not a competition, because we are here to volunteer and do something nice. It's not a competition. And like, first off, I wasn't even struggling. I had literally just started on that. I'm like, let me chop my own tree down. And I'm just big on like learning by yourself. I'm like, okay, so what if it was taking me longer? You could have came over and helped me, not take it and basically dismiss me. Because honestly, I was embarrassed by that. Like, I did everything in my power not to just like go on into a feminist rage. I was like, you know what?
Yeah, tell them off.
I'm technically a professional at this point. Like, can't do this. Yeah, that was something that just stuck with me. So I'm like, but I mean, I know for a fact, like, not all men look at women and dismiss them as a professional or as anything. Like, my time at the U of M, I had like male supervisors, and they were, for the most part, like pretty empowering. Yeah. They allowed me to like fail. They allowed me to learn, and I felt like they treated me as somewhat equal,
Yeah, good.
Like, all right.
Okay. Since you brought it up, I want to hear your definition of toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. I'm so bad at defining things.
That's okay. Like when you see it, like, well, I know, like, you just gave an example, but it's one of those words that it's one of those buzzwords that they're just thrown around a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just want to hear people define it. So we know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So for me, and personal opinion, this is how I would recognize toxic masculinity is, well, like the example that I gave, he dismissed me because he didn't think me as a woman could perform this act, or he was trying to like assert his dominance as like an alpha male. And maybe another one that I've seen is like, I would never want a guy to come up to me and be like, act like a woman. Like, I don't tell men act like a man type thing, you know?
Yeah.
Just be a good person. Like, that's my like biggest thing is like, just don't be a jerk. Like, don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
But like when men are like, oh, I'm going to do this because I'm the man, or I'm like, why are you you know, or it's like they're performing things or they're saying things because it's like, oh, I'm the man. I'm like, are you? Just like, it's fine, just do it. You don't have to announce to it because you're the man. Or like, that's a horrible example. Hold on, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
You put me on the spot.
Yeah. Well, I just wonder because yeah.
Hey, mom keeps calling. Here, take my phone. Sorry, she called me like twice.
Oh no, you're fine. Just picture everything's okay. I can always cut that out. I don't know if I will.
I figure.
We'll see.
Just keep that part.
Yeah.
You want Nora on the thing as
mother,
well.
Yeah.
She keeps calling me like, I love you, but stop. I'm busy.
I'll use that as your little intro.
I can't talk right now. I'm doing hot girl stuff.
I'm trying to. Yeah.
Please keep that.
We'll keep that one, dude. We're just all trying to become famous. Yeah, I mean, okay. Just
yes, okay. Toxic masculinity.
Because a lot of the examples I see, which of course I know I'm seeing things through my lens and my experience, which is why I like to try to get people to think differently. But a lot of times I see something labeled as toxic masculinity. It's one of those where it's really just like a manly thing, just like a regular thing that's never really been wrong. But now where we're at in time, culturally, like that's something that's like, oh, that's so toxic male. You're like, well, that was normal behavior 20 years ago. Yeah. You know, so that's why a lot of it's like, I know stuff changes. I know things change over time. I get that. But then when it's like, okay, if a kid goes out and gets, you know, grass stains on his jeans, that's not toxic masculinity, you know?
Oh, yes.
So I'm seeing a lot of stuff where, and I'm not accusing you of doing that, but I'm saying when you see those words, you're seeing stuff like that. I'm going, this is ridiculous. Because it shows me, it's like you're trying to, and you're starting to see the whole gender roles and stuff start to switch, and the idea of gender changing, where it's like you want men to become like softer and more effeminate. Yeah. Not because of like that's the better way. It's like, but this is the old way and we got to move away from that. But it's also like we want women to become stronger and more independent and like step up and be a leader like the man historically was. So you're like, you're trying to see him. So they can't be bad if they're wanting, you know, each side to do the inverse. Yeah. They can't be wrong. But it's like, why? I think
it's more of the way I'm thinking of it is like you don't have to be. Like, I think we just need to come to like some neutral ground of like a woman can still be a woman and like not have like, you know, like she could still be feminine and by being strong or like athletic, just like maybe having muscles or like a short like pixie cut hair or something, you know, and like a man can still be a man even if he is like, I don't know,
even if he rolls with his jeans.
Yeah, if he loves fashion or if he loves to dance or he just like, well, you know, like he's still, I would, if he wants to be like, I am a man, like you can be a man, my guy. But I guess like with the toxic masculinity is like, and I don't know, I feel like I know a lot of guys who like the toxic masculinity comes from like their dads where it's like, don't do that because that's not what a man does. Yeah. It's like, well, why? It's like men can't be soft. Men can't cry. Men can't talk about their feelings. And it's like, no, that's like they can. Like you can do all those things and still be a man. Yeah. It's okay to be vulnerable. And like, I don't know. I think equality works for both people. You know, the dynamics are changing. Like that takes pressure off of like husbands to solely be like the sole provider. Like men are allowed to pursue their passions as well. Oh, they don't just have to like worry about it, knowing that their partner, and that's important to me, is like I want like a partner. I want someone to like work it out with me and like plan of like, all right, if we're both working, right, let's do it. Or if like, I mean, it's so funny. We were actually, me and my sister were talking about like if I would take on a just like a stay-at-home husband, I would be like, I mean, like, if I like made enough money, if I was the sole breadwinner and we lived a comfortable life, you know, then I guess, because like my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I remember like how nice it was to have a parent there. And just like family management is a lot, like managing your life, your kids, or all the schedules. I am working full time. I'm in school, and I've been working a lot lately, and Morgan's staying with me, and I literally said, thank God I get a wife. I get a wife for a couple of days, because Morgan, she's currently like looking for work, but like she's staying at my home, and she's been super sweet. And I've been so grateful for her help, like, because I didn't ask her to do any of this stuff. Yeah. Obviously, she's my sister. She's not my wife.
And she cooked a fantastic dinner for us.
And I've come to a point where I'm so busy that it's like when I come home, I'm exhausted. And so like my cooking has like fallen off, or my cleaning has fallen off. Like literally she's been here for like 2 days, and immediately like I went to work the other day, came back, and my room was clean. She prepared, there was food in the fridge. I was like, oh my God, thank you. I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Can't imagine if I had a child. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Makes you want to be a husband, huh?
I mean, I was like, why are men complaining? It's like, my guy, you must be exhausted. Tell your wife thank you.
That's right, man.
Like, you're eating good. Your house is clean. You don't have to worry about your kid. Like, I hate that it's like perceived. I mean, and this is just like from my lens. I hate that it's perceived as such a negative thing. Like,
what is
just I guess gender equality. Like, men having to be the breadwinners, or like less involved. Like, I love the fact that I'm seeing, and I like nannied all throughout college, and I love that I got to see like 2 working parents, like a working dad, a working mom, with both who are satisfied and challenged by their own careers, but are still both such involved parents. And I think the big part of it that I've noticed, and like they're very honest with me, is like they split the work. Yeah. Like it doesn't solely fall on the working mom or the working dad. And I mean, of course, my circumstances are different. I grew up with a single mom for the majority of my life. So she was always there, but like, I guess like I didn't have a male figure for like the majority of like growing up. So it's like I always just knew a strong woman. Yeah. Like having to do everything, like provide, to like manage the home life. So like I guess it never really occurred to me. So it was just kind of weird trying to navigate like I guess romantic relationships, or like that those kind of things with guys where I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, you know, I'm like, that doesn't seem fair. I guess like, why couldn't we both just like
both contribute?
Yeah. Like that takes pressure off of you, because I don't think like I hate the idea. Like I have a younger brother, and I'm like, I hate the idea of it. Like all of the weight of keeping a family together or afloat falls solely on the husband. You know, where I'm like, no, like, do you want to be depressed? Do you want to be like,
let me help.
No, just like, let me help. Like, let's work this out together. Like, it shouldn't just be, your responsibility to manage this family. Like, we're a team. That's what I would have signed up for, is like being on the same side and just working through it together. Like, all right, how are we going to figure this out? Let's figure this out. Like, you don't have to hide if you want to cry. Like, men can cry, you know. I guess it's like in my head, that's toxic masculinity, where it's like men can't do certain things because it's not manly. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Dude.
Or it's like they're almost dismissive of like, quote, these softer qualities.
You need them, man. I mean, they're natural. I don't want to get all into the masculinity thing. What else would you like to talk about as our time wraps up here before a final little string of questions? I don't know.
Is there anything a burning question? Did you want to talk more about Wild at Heart? That was something that really bonded us.
Okay. Why did you like Wild at Heart? Or what'd you take? Did you read the whole thing?
I did read the whole thing. It's been quite some time.
Yeah, it's probably been a couple of years. Yeah.
What like made us friends, because we talked about it, and I think you even said it was like, which, you know, that my spirituality is something I'm also working on.
Aren't we all?
I've had quite the quite the roller coaster. But, you know, actually your friendship has actually got me quite closer with God. I don't know if you ever knew that.
I did not. Thank you.
Yeah, because I remember you'd always just bring it up and like you were so real about it. And that was something I always respected about you. And like we would always pray at our meals and I'm like, he's so thoughtful and genuine, but you're so real about it. And I think we talked about that like last time we had dinner. And I was like, you're like, it's not just all this. And I'm like, yes. That's what I grew up with.
Go off, King.
Go off, King. Like you keep it real. You smoke your cigars. You could still be a Christian if you take a sip of alcohol, smoke a little smoke.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Like it's, thank you, Isaac, for that. But I remember you gave me the book you gave me that book suggestion. So I found it. I started reading it. And it was interesting because I guess at that age, I was like 22, 23 maybe.
Yeah.
And I guess like it said a lot about men. Like, and I understand that like men have this certain thing that they want to feel like a man. Like they do activities to feel like a man, which I can respect that as long as you're not dismissing someone else of like, you know, like I think in the book, and it really dived into that because the author was so good. He talked about the things he liked. Like he was really into theater and like all that art, but he was such a big like outdoorsman. And that was like one of those things that he just like, man had this like fire burning and all this. And like, I'm sure we could go all day with like, oh, well, women are nurturers and they're gentle and they're like, you know, because that was probably the one thing is like, I love the outdoor. I feel like I'm a wild woman, but also, I don't know, it just gave so much insight, like better understanding. So I think after I read that, I was able to kind of like better understand like my male friends or like even my, like all the guys like in my life, I was able to better understand them, like kind of what goes through their head as they're working through maybe certain issues or ideas that was placed on them, like as like little boys.
Right.
I mean, because I'm sure times are so different. Like when we were kids.
Oh yeah.
Like act like a man, do this, do that. Where it's like, maybe I want to cry. Like maybe I do want to talk to someone about my feelings, or like maybe I do need to go to therapy and like work these things out. I don't need to like suppress them.
Right.
But yeah, that was my favorite thing about Wild at Heart. It gave a lot of insight to like better understand it.
Yeah, there's a female like counterpart book called Captivating, and I just got it in the mail a couple of weeks back. So I may have to read that one next and let you know how it is and let you borrow it.
I was going to say, like, all right, tell me your insights on the women.
I don't know a whole lot.
Isaac Weston, the ladies' man.
Oh, dude, I don't know about that. Never been that.
You're 10 times better than Joe Rogan.
Oh, stop
I can't support Joe Rogan, but I can support Isaac Weston.
There it is. Thank you. Yeah,
I'm also going to be his future manager, so obviously I have to say that.
Well, you got to see. We're gonna have Cattle Call Ranch somewhere like Wyoming. You know, something like that. I love me some Wyoming, even though I've only been there once. And then the headquarters got to be in New York, where the world converges.
Yes.
So we can have, and Lauren Barry will work there. You'll work there.
We're gonna, yes.
Get some buddies from back home. Then I'll have the ranch. My buddy Tiger, he'll oversee Cattle Call Ranch. Have 10,000 head of cattle, some horses. Go do trail riding, fly fishing.
We're gonna be just wild at heart.
Be wild at heart all the time.
We're just all gonna be wild men and women out there on the ranch.
See, you got to be able to like put on a suit and some loafers. And try a bunch of just different cultural foods and walk to the office and then get on a plane and have a little landing strip there at Cattle Call Ranch. And then you land there and then you go out there and you ride Western trained horses for a weekend. I don't know. We can make it happen.
We are going to be an unstoppable team.
Oh, gosh.
Because we're going to be able to like do it both. We're going to live the city life. We're going to be cultured, but then we're going to be out here in the wild, like galloping on the ranch.
Got to clear your head,
horses.
man. Yeah. It will all have the matching cattle call tattoos. So
yeah.
It'll
be like our own little like cult, I guess.
It will be. Hopefully it doesn't end with like a terrible documentary about the podcast. It started as a lighthearted podcast.
And this really took a turn. Fame really got to them.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, the influence of fame in Hollywood. Man. Wild at Heart. That's a great book. No one's read it. Read it. If you're a woman, read it to understand men better. If you're a man, read it to understand yourself better. I need to reread it. It's been a couple of years.
It has been a couple of years. I mean, it's always good to just read things that again, I'm big on learning. I'm big on like talking to someone who's very different from you. Even reading stuff that you wouldn't particularly agree with, you know, like if that's not, like if you do not just even want to talk about gender norms or like the roles or whatever, I would still suggest reading it because like
it's insightful.
And I think it challenges why you think a certain way. Like, I don't think you get to grow or strengthen your stance on something if you're always surrounded by the same people constantly, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, why, Isaac? Well, why do I think this way? Like, Isaac asked me this question and I didn't have a reason to defend it, you know? Like, it makes you think about it.
Yeah.
We're like, well, maybe that's how he perceives it, but that's how I perceived it, you know?
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Okay. Couple final questions and we'll wrap up. You've made it almost an hour. See, how casual is this?
I know. But I mean, you and I could talk for hours.
Oh, yeah, and we have. So, okay. If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you want to go?
Oh my gosh. I would love... Oh, that's so hard. I've been going back and forth on like wanting to go somewhere like tropical. Like Morgan had gone to Bali like several times this year. And I'm like, oh, I would love to go back to like my Indonesian roots. And, you know, just like... let me take it all in. Like, I'm so westernized and American. Like, I don't even know Indonesian. Morgan came back and I'm like, you know all this stuff about our culture that I don't even know. So that would be cool. But at the same time, I would just love to go to like Norway, somewhere like, or Sweden, just somewhere like outdoorsy. And I'm like out in the snow. I don't know why snow. I hate snow. I think I hate snow. Okay. Because obviously we don't get that much here in Tennessee or here in Memphis. So I'm like, would I even like it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Somewhere quiet in the cabins.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Okay.
Drinking some coffee.
If you could pick your last meal.
Oh.
What's in the running for your last meal? It could be an entree from a certain place. It could just be a genre of food. It could be something super specific.
Oh, it'd be all the carbs. It would be so heavy.
Yeah.
It would either be the chicken and shrimp carbonara from Olive Garden. It's very specific, I know, but good. That thing puts me in food coma, and I feel horrible after.
Chicken and shrimp carbonara?
Yes, it's so loaded. Will put you in food coma, and I'm like, if I'm gonna die, I want to go out, but like I'm gonna go out happy. I've never ate that and been sad, or disappointed. And I've like gotten it when I was sad to cheer me up, and it did.
Comfort food.
So it would probably be something just drowned in sauce.
Really? That sounds good. That's good.
Yeah.
That sounds very good. Okay. Any good book recommendations or documentaries or movies that people need to see besides Wild at Heart? People need to see or read or watch?
Okay, so maybe I'm just a little bit behind on this book because it was a couple years old, but I read it during the pandemic, and it was like Shonda Rhimes' book of Year of Yes. And it's not like a help book.
It's called Year of Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just talked about, it's such a random book. I don't even know how I got it. I think I was just on Amazon scrolling, and I saw it. I was like, Shonda Rhimes wrote a book? Okay.
Who is that?
So Shonda Rhimes is a TV writer. She wrote Scandal, Grey's Anatomy. What's another one? She's very popular. She did the whole... Oh, and Bridgerton. She has like her own production company, like Shondaland. And she is a Black woman, and she's so independent. She's incredible. She's so talented, and most of her characters have these strong lead women. I mean, they're obviously not perfect. Like, they're very flawed, and I think that's like, she just is such a brilliant writer and creator. So I was like, that might be interesting. But in the book, it's not really a help book. It's not really a memoir. She just kind of wrote it. But she's used to be such an afraid person. Like, she would just escape into her writings and her stories, and she would kind of get lost in her own little cycle of things. And she would never go on like TV, talk shows or anything like that. So she spent a year doing things that scared her, because it's like, I never do anything outside of what I do. So I'm going to be different. I'm going to be a different mom. I'm going to get my health on track. I'm going to say yes to my health. I'm going to say yes to my children when they want to play. I'm going to say, you know, because like she was a workaholic, and I just thought it was really good. And it just was very insightful. Someone so creative and talented and successful as her has struggled with like just balance, I guess. But it was really good.
Good. Okay. Do you have any pieces of advice or any good quotes you want to leave listeners with?
Ooh, I guess my only piece of advice is like just never stop learning. You know, be open to people, opportunities. Just you never know what could just be waiting for you on the other side. I think my sister one time said, the unexpected brings the most unbelievable. I think it's so easy to get stuck in your own ways, your own routines and cycles. Just like talk to someone different than you, learn about them, learn about new things. You know, I feel like coming out of college, you're just responsible for your own like progress in life. You want to learn something new, learn something new. You want to be better with your money, you know, learn more about
Who's
finances.
stopping you? Yeah.
Yeah. Like you know, there are very few things in your life that you can control. So I think like you can control what you do next is my biggest thing. And I try to remind myself of that.
Alex, where can people follow you, keep up with you when you are on social media?
When I am on social media, you can just follow me at _ Tucker Alex. I used to be the other Tucker, but
That's what I thought you still were. You're not?
I'm not, you know, I thought it was time to change because not a lot of people were getting it anymore. They're like, you're the only Tucker I know. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, it's because of.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know?
I never knew that. Cool. _ Tucker.
Alex.
_ Alex?
Yeah. It's just Alex Tucker flip-flopped.
Okay. We'll tag you anyway. Alex, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Isaac.
Great job. That was Alex Tucker. And we will see you on the other side.